So joining me today is my esteemed colleague, Mr. David Harperstad. Many of you may have known him because you have attended the last two sessions on Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. David is a digital learning advisor, and he will be presenting this final series of workshops today. Please note that this is just a basic introduction to Excel, Microsoft Word, Excel, Microsoft Word, and Microsoft PowerPoint. In this session, we will be covering Microsoft PowerPoint and how to build your presentation. This is not an advanced course, nor is it an intermediate course. It's just telling you and showing you what Excel has to offer. David will also mention sites that, and courses that we can go through and go to complete a higher level of understanding in terms of Microsoft. So for now, we're just showing you the basics and what we can do. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Mr. David, and David will show us on how to build a presentation that may be useful to many of us today. David, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Nas. Much appreciated. Welcome, students. Thank you for joining us again once more. The third session, now we're going to tackle PowerPoint. So this is quite a fun one. So at least there's no formulas and things like that. But the fun thing is we're going to be working in PowerPoint, and it's the same thing that I'm actually using right here, as you can see. So what we're going to do is I'm going to build a presentation. At some point, you're going to have to do this. That's unfortunately part of your studies. There will be a presentation or even in your work capacity. So presentations are pretty much part of life. So I'm going to show you how to create a presentation, inserting a slide, changing a layout, looking at the different formatting that you can do, inserting an object or a shape, putting some Excel into it, inserting some text, using a text box, changing your theme, slide transitions and animations and some of the settings you can change, and also how to create a video and audio. I'm sure you guys see on YouTube, there's a lot of people making videos and things like that. Well, you could even do it on here, TikTok, you can actually use this technology. So that's what we're going to do today. And as you can see, I'm actually using PowerPoint as we speak, but let me close this one now. So let's have a look at a final product just to get an idea of how this thing can actually look. So I'm just going to run it in normal PowerPoint mode so that it's presentable. And as you can see, I've got some objectives, a nice little shape in here, got some text. I just want to see if it will do it nicely. Yeah, there we go. I hope you guys saw that effect. Let me just do it again. Can you see how the text changes from one slide to the next? Yeah, good. That's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to show you guys how to actually do that. Put in the graph that you created in Excel. That's quite a nice one. And of course, to say thank you and make a little animation, something like that. So that's basically what we would like to be able to do. Now, as I said before, PowerPoint is actually a lot more fun. So it's not so scary as Excel and inserting page numbers in Microsoft Word. So there we go. So I'm going to open a new document, and as you can see, this is how it looks. There's nothing there. It says click to add first slide, and there we go. Now, the first thing you need to know about PowerPoint, how it works, is quite different. So yeah, you've got sort of a canvas area, all right? And inside the canvas, in this slide type, they've given you sort of a little placeholder. And this one is for a subtitle, and this one's for a title. So it's sort of guiding you to say, to start off with, very blank, very simple. This is what you can actually do. This is what you can put in. So let me create something. Okay, I give it a name. Let's say I'm going to put my details in there. Very simply done. And you'll notice just clicking inside, typing the placeholder will automatically, your text will be there. Now, PowerPoint is pretty much about having lots of slides, but obviously different types of slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the home button and I'm just going to use this little option right on the right hand side. Okay, there we go. Basically what it means my menu now is not going to disappear anymore. So if I click on this little arrow, my menu disappears and now it's got a little bit more screen space. If I want to bring it back, I can just click on that little guy there, the ribbon, and it'll keep the ribbons in place. Okay, so you might have noticed that it looks a little bit different. Now it looks sort of more like what you would expect. Okay, so I've got my first little slide. There it is. So on my home tab, you'll see there's a new slide option. And you can see all the different sort of designs that they give you. So these are sort of templates that they've created. All right, just to help you out to design a PowerPoint presentation very quickly and efficiently. So, which is useful. But of course, you can also have a blank one and you can create your own design or how you want it to look. And I'm going to show you that today. So for example, I've got my title slide in. Maybe I want to add in a title and content. So I click on it. And now you'll see I've got two slides. But now you'll notice the layouts are different. Okay. All right. On this one, we had these two little pointers. And now this time we've got these little placeholders. Now, of course, when you click inside, you've got those properties that come up. Remember, whenever you select things, objects, there are always properties there. So keep note of that. I can move it around, you see? So if I click on any of the little placeholders, click on the border, you'll see your mouse changes. Click and move it around if you want to maybe put it there or you want to resize it. Notice you've also got these little bubbles. So the mouse changes when you move on it, which means, okay, now you can resize. Once you've resized it on the border, if I click, I can drag and I can move it where I want it to be. You see, it's nice and flexible and it's designed that way. You'll also notice there's this little guy called rotate. So if I click on him, I can actually rotate how I want this to look. Because remember, guys, PowerPoint is actually a lot more about having fun. I always find if you have fun with your presentations, you tend to enjoy it more, even if it's that one that you have to do in front of all the academics and your proposal at master's level. You know, have fun with it. It's not that bad. Okay, so there we go. So we can make it, let me just make it a little bit square. All right, and put it a little bit back there. So you can see it's very flexible what you can do. Right, let's go have a look at our slide number 2. Let's call it the objectives. What's the first objective we're going to do today? New slides? Yes. Formatting? Great. Adding Excel graph? Great. Now you've noticed I've got a bullet list running here. So by default, they give you a bullet list. And then I've got this space. So how did I do this? It's actually very easy to do. When I hit enter, it expects me to be in this list. But if I want a sublist, I just hit the tab key on your keyboard. So it's on the left-hand side, you've got a tab key. You hit it just once, and then it becomes a sublist. Information. Okay, if I go back down, and now I want to go to the main list over here, I hit the Shift key, tab. So Shift and tab, hit them together, then it will move it back automatically. So now it's under this again. Okay, so there's some objectives. Don't worry about all the fancy backgrounds and the text and things like that. That we can do very, very easily at the end. In the beginning, just build up your presentation, keep it very simple, and then we can add all the special things afterwards. So there we go. So now I've created a nice little slide. Brilliant. Now I can insert a new slide. Now I selected blank. I didn't really want a blank slide. Okay, you've got two choices. You can simply right click and delete, or go to layout and go see the template again. I say, no, actually I wanted this one, and go click on it. And then immediately the format changes. So even if you have text in there, you can still use this function. It's just going to rearrange what it thinks, and you might then need to edit. Now, the nice thing with PowerPoint is on the right-hand side, you might notice the design ideas pops up. In other words, it's saying to you, okay, you want to do something, can I give you some ideas? So it automatically sort of generates these ideas. But of course, I haven't put any information in. So yes, that's nice to know, but for now, I'm just going to close it. A little bit later, we'll look at it. Okay, so now I've got some information here. And let's say it's introduction. And now you'll see these little features that pop up over here. So these are sort of, again, it's trying to think, what do you want? Not necessarily what you want to do, but Microsoft thinks, okay, maybe this is what you want. So if I click on picture, then it's going to say, okay, where exactly is this picture sitting? So you need to actually have a picture available. I don't even have one. Gosh, that's terrible. Oh, that's awful. Okay. All right, let me do the sneaky trick. What I do then is I'm just going to click on stock images. So these are the images that Microsoft gives you. You will need internet connection though. That's something you might need to know. Okay, there's a lovely picture of a flower. So I click on it and I can click on insert. I'm going to show you again those steps because we're going to do a little bit quick. And there we go, there I've inserted a picture. And again, the design tool pops up to say, okay, you can maybe do it, make it look like this. Okay, that's fine, no problem, we'll come back to you. All right, so there I can insert a picture. Now, in this little window over here, you'll see there's the option for stock images. But as I said, you need to have internet connection because it goes onto the internet, it goes into a library, and these images you're allowed to use, they are free. Okay, same with videos, okay, and icons. There's 3D modules, there's a whole bunch of things, but you do need an internet connection. However, for a graph and a table, you don't actually need one. So let me use the table, for example. If I click on it, it's going to say, how many columns do you want? Remember, columns go down. And how many rows do you want? Those go across, eh? I don't need so many columns. Click on OK. So yeah, you can adjust it. Click on OK. And there we go. There's my table. Yeah, so maybe I'm going to speak about the flower. Okay, I don't know flowers like the back of my hand. Easy, I'm not sure, due to inflation, maybe it's very expensive. What other flowers do we have? Naz, you should know, you're a lady, you probably get these all the time. A rose, of course, a rose. Those are normally quite expensive. Okay, fine, so you can just type in your table and whatnot. But remember, as I said earlier in the other lessons, whenever you have an object, remember this is something, it has properties, there's always things that pop up. So just remember that. It doesn't matter which program you're using, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's all the same. So if I click on a picture, for example, there are the properties for the picture. So let's have a look at some of these properties, because it's a nice picture, but what else can we do with it? So again, yeah, you've got some picture styles. Click on the drop-down arrow. Here's all the different things. So as you select it, you're going to see automatically it actually adjusts. Let's look at this one. It looks pretty cool. And just like that. So just remember the golden rule. Click on the object and look and see what properties are available to it. Okay, so there we go. I've got a nice picture. It's even got a sort of a mirror effect, a reflection. And there we go. So we've actually put something in there. Right, let's get to the next slide. Again, we go to new slide. I'm going to take a title and context. All right, quite a frequent thing. I've typed some text in Word, but I want to put it into PowerPoint. How do I do this? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to have to open your Microsoft Word file or document. Okay, there's the text that I'm looking for. So I go select my text. You make sure, click and drag, select your text, very important. Right click on what you've selected, that's very, very important. If I right click down here at the bottom, it's not going to give me that copy option. So make sure you select your text, clicking and dragging. Right click on what you've selected, and then you'll see there's all the options that's got to do with copying and cutting. But in this case, we just want to copy. So I click on copy. Now I go back to PowerPoint. I go look for that place that I want to put the text in, and you can see it's waiting for me on my cursor. I can simply just right click inside this big block, the placeholder, and again you get these different options that are available to you. And just going through these options very carefully, you can actually see which one would actually suit me. I think this one, because now it's using the destination theme. In other words, it picks up what type of theme are you using. In this case, it's by default the blank one. and then it will try to make the text look the same. Okay, so this won't look different to the other slides. And there we go. So we've copied our text across. Now, one of the big mistakes people make with presentations is they tend to present and then they tend to read what's on the screen. There's nothing more boring than that. Yeah, I've attended quite a few functions and people just read the text. The idea is PowerPoint should just have those main points. And from those main points, you should then be speaking. So in this case, for example, you're talking about video. So as a presenter, maybe I just highlight the key point that I want to talk about. So I talk about video, but I don't have to read what's there. I can simply, using my knowledge and using my notes, I can be talking about the video itself and what the properties of the video are and things like that. So in this way, the people, the attendants, the audience, they will see that what you're talking about, but they're not going to just be seeing that you're reading from the screen. So just remember that when it's time to do a presentation for honors or something like that. Okay. And so you just highlight your words. It's quite a nice way to do it because in that way you're looking at your notes, you're reading it, or you're speaking about your notes, but on PowerPoint it's actually looking, just those main points are sticking out and the audience then can follow. So that's one way to do it. Okay, it's nice and easy. Right, let's have a look at the next thing we can do. So I'm going to put in a blank slide this time. And I'm going to want to insert something from Excel. So what do I need to do? Okay, again, you need to go open the app, the document, the spreadsheet in this case. Right, so there is our beautiful gender graph. So I'm thinking, yes, I want to include this. So again, you're going to select it, right click on it. You'll notice I'm always right clicking in the corner, especially with graphs, because where you right click, it gives you different menu. So be careful of that. So right click in the corners away from anything. And then you'll see there's a copy option. Then you go back to PowerPoint, find the location where you want to paste it in. You right click. And again, you've got all the different options that you could possibly want. You might need to play around with these. For example, this is a picture. Let me do it again. Right click. Let me select destination theme. I deliberately want to show you guys this. Again, design ideas is always popping up. It likes to try and help you. Okay, so here we go. So now this time I inserted the graph. You'll notice when I click on this one, it's indicating these properties, these things you can change. All right. And you'll see the chart design even comes available. The same thing that we just saw in Excel. All right. Whoops. As you can see, I can even change how it looks. It's still available. All right. But the second option I used, I inserted it as a picture. Now there are no design tools, but look what pops up. Picture format. So PowerPoint is telling you this is actually a picture now, just like our picture of a flower, and you can format it in the same way. Just doing that as an example. But when I inserted it and I kept it in the very first option, which is keeping your theme, now it's still Excel. So it still has all those features and functions of Excel. So if I right click on it and I say edit data, give it a few seconds, and there we go. So it's going to open Excel for you, right? And then you can see the same information that we had in the previous session. There's the data. Let's say, for example, we need to make a correction. There were more females than males, and let's say the value was 67, and I hit enter. Immediately look what happens. Your graph changes. Let me show you again. Let's say for February, same problem. The data was wrong. Let's say there were 89 females that attended, and I hit enter. So as soon as I change this value, your chart is going to change. So this is one of the powers, guys, of using your technology for your benefit. Using Excel power, but you're working in PowerPoint. And same with Word, copying and pasting across. So there we go. So now this is actually functioning just like it would in Excel. Of course, now it's a little bit limited because you don't have all the features of Excel, but it generally will keep that object on the same level. And you can see there's some trend lines going all sorts of directions over there. Now, when you're done, you can click on it, click on the X, right, and it takes you back. Right, so just remember those two options I've just showed you. So when you're right-clicking and pasting, take note of these options, because when you select it, your object, in this case a graph, is going to change how it behaves in PowerPoint. And this also applies to Microsoft Word, so just take note of that. So these options here are very, very important. So when you're building something, play around and see. For example, this one links to the data, which means it's going to look for that Excel file as well. Now it becomes a little bit more complicated, hey? So, but have a look at the different options that you've got available and see how you would like to be able to edit. Just in case, like in the next situation, we had some wrong data, we corrected the data, and there we go. But you'll see the picture, because it's a picture, it doesn't change. That data now has not changed at all. We can't change this data. So in this case, we'd have to delete it and go copy the data again. But in this case, where we're keeping it as is, built in through Excel, and then we can edit it. So just make sure, again, which copy option are you selecting here. Good, so that basically brings Excel into place. So there we go. So now we're getting somewhere here. Okay, but now I don't have a title over here. Oh man, so what do? No problem. Go to layout. As I said to you, you can go and change your layout. There we go. Now you'll notice the placeholders are still in here. For example, add text. Now I don't want text, so I can click on the border, which means now that placeholder is selected. So you click on the border, selects the placeholder, and hit the delete on your keyboard. You can delete it. If you don't need it, delete it, no problem. Then there's my title, and that's what I wanted. So I can give it a title. Beautiful. Now, for any reason, if I decide later on, you know what, this gender thing, this picture, I don't really need it anymore, again, hit delete. But what happens if I want to put some information here? You've got two choices. You can go to layout and select which layout you want. That's one way. And delete the placeholders you don't want. Or let's have a look at another option. Go to insert. So you click on your insert, and then you've got a little guy called text box. You can click on him, and you'll notice your mouse sort of changes in a funny little shape. It means basically click and drag and let go. Then I'm going to create a text box. What can I do in a text box? I can type. There we go. So now I can type, and you'll see the text box changes as you enter data in there. So let me show you again. You go to insert, text box, your mouse will change, click and drag, let it go, and there we go. And yes, it will automatically resize, but if you hit enter, for example, and there we go. So you'll see it's very dynamic. It changes as you need it, and of course you can move it around. Just remember, if you want to move something, click on it, look for the border, click on the border and move it around. Okay, just like that. So it's very quick and easy to do. But just remember, this is built in Excel, and remember that the tools that you get available here, the formatting, the tools, there's a whole bunch of things you can actually go and do. But that's for another day. You can go play around with those. Okay, what's next? Let's go again. Insert. I'm going to select a blank slide again. Under my insert menu, there are the shapes. The same thing that you saw in Microsoft earlier this morning. If you were with us, you can use the same shapes here as well. For example, let's say I want to put in one of these. Click and I drag and I let go. And remember, because it's an object, it has properties. Look for the menu. Now I can go change it however I would like it to look. You can play around with these different settings. Remember what I said, PowerPoint is about having fun. So you've got all these little balls, these features, and now you can actually see what you're doing. And I can make it bigger by clicking on the bubbles. And again, I can also rotate it. Right, whatever you need to do. But there we go. So then again, you've got all these little features and shapes and styles and all these things that you can actually go and change. Can I add text inside? Yes, you can. Just right click on it and edit text. The problem is my text is sort of facing a different direction. So let me just rotate it a little bit. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. And there we go. Let me have a sip of water quick. Okay, so there's your shape. So very easy to do. And just remember you've got shape formatting that comes up. Always under the insert menu. So when you click insert, you'll see all the different things you can actually insert. Yes, there are headers and footers as well and slide numbers. So you can put these in. There's also video and audio that you can add. Okay, so just take note under insert, lots of tools available. All right, so now we've got our little design happening here. Let's see, let's put the last slide in. Let's say thank you. During COVID, we need to keep safe. All right, and now I want to insert something really special. So let's go again. Let's go to pictures. You've got stock images. Okay, good. And now you'll see there's images like what we've seen already. We've got icons. There's a whole bunch of them. Cut people. Okay, so these ones you are allowed to use because it's part of the package. All right, and you'll see it's got this sort of blocky background. That means when you put it in, it's going to then pretty much let me show you. So you select it, click on insert. It'll download the picture, and there we go. So you'll see that those little blocks don't actually come in. They're sort of the background. That's just to indicate the form. There's a nice word we use when we deal with graphics, but that's sort of your background. It's not needed. So it sort of colors out according to your theme. And there we go. Now, yet again, you'll see design tools is popping up. So this time I say, okay, no problem. I think this little design here looks pretty cool. So then I click on it. And there we go. So your design ideas, it pops up quite often whenever you're working with pictures and objects and tables and graphs. It tries to predict or tries to help you to identify what really looks good. So I look at this one, I say that's not too bad. But if I click on this one, okay, maybe this one looks a bit better. And let's say this is the one I want to keep. Then you can click and close your design tool. So by default, guys, it'll automatically try and open itself. Okay, so there we go. There we've got a nice sort of ending to the slide, and we've got a nice picture that we've inserted. So just be careful though, as I said, with your stock images and your shapes. Now shapes are fine, icons, sometimes 3D modules. If you're going to say the stock option, it does need the internet, and sometimes it doesn't actually load. You'll get an error message saying something on the lines of it cannot connect to the server. Just be patient, try again, and then hopefully it will come through. Okay, so that one I have picked up before. There we go. So at least now we've managed to put in something here. But if we generally look at our slides, it's looking a little bit boring. Now at the bottom of your screen on this side, right at the bottom, hope you guys can see it, you've got some options over here. This slide sorter view, if you click on it, you'll see this formatting changes, where it just allows you to see your slides and what order they're in. For example, if you want to swap them around, just a matter of clicking and dragging, and then it automatically change the order of the slides. So that's quite useful. If you want to go back to where you were, then you click on normal view, and it brings you back to this view where you can design and put in all the graphics and whatnot. So just take note of those little options sitting here at the bottom. Okay, let's continue. All right, so now we go back to home. Okay, we've pretty much dealt with those. Inserting, we've seen these. Your draw toolbar, guys, is not available by default. So if you want to access draw, you're going to have to add it in. So you can go to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and there's the option. So normally you'll find this one has a blank like that, which means the draw toolbar, this little toolbar, is not available to you. But strangely enough, you just have to go and enable it. All right, so just click on it, click on OK, and it's going to add it in. So you go to File, options, customize ribbon, and then you'll find it over here. So these toolbars, you can actually switch them on and off. Click on OK. All right, there it is. And then you can actually, if you need to use this maybe for a lecture, you can actually use this drawing toolbar. So it is for more demonstration purposes where you can actually use it and type in and things like that. Yep, so that's that. Okay, let's have a look at our design. Now, design specifically, you'll see again, they've given you all these wonderful templates. And as I move my mouse, you're automatically going to see, at least with this one at the bottom, how does it actually look? Okay, let's say, for example, this is the one that we want to use. So I click on it, and you're going to see the whole presentation then adjusts. And yes, your design ideas will pop up, yes, again. So I can close it again. So let's go back to our very first slide. So you'll see if I click on the first slide, it'll take me there. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. It looks actually quite nice. Click on objectives. How does that look? The formatting, everything looks good. The buttons have changed. There's our picture. Nice. Here's our word information. Here's some more information. Okay. Although that squiggle there doesn't look really good. Where's my eraser? Oh, there's the eraser. Let me just delete that. Good. See, that's your eraser over there, hey? Part of the drawing toolbar. Okay, so here I've got some information. Seems like it doesn't want to select the object anymore. Strange, it's become stuck. I don't know if Excel's misbehaving. Oh boy. Okay, this theme seems to have locked some of my things. I can't actually make any changes anymore. That's wonderful. Right, let me just go back to Office. Oh boy, all my things have just jammed. They've gone stuck. That's a bit of a bug, I see. Let me just try again, see if I can get it back it was. Right, let me just save and reopen. Well, students, that's the first. So Excel decides to have a bit of a problem. Okay, there we go. Now it's back to normal again. I can see my design tools are coming up. Okay, that was interesting, but at least you see if you save and close and reopen, then hopefully it will behave itself. Okay, right, let's see what else we can do. I'm just going to change this format. I'm going to apply another theme and hopefully it doesn't get stuck. Okay, so now I want to add some more text over here. Okay, so here's a quick way if you need to add some text for training purposes or just to play around. Type in equals, rand, open and close your round brackets, and you hit enter, and automatically it'll generate some text for you. Okay, so that's quite useful. So why am I doing this? Because I want to show you when the slide is over here, and then it moves to the next slide over here, I want to put in something that's really special effect. And I want to show you something called transitions. Okay, let me just try the design one more time. Just want to make sure that it's behaving. Okay, that's better. That's much better. Okay. Now I can see it's behaving like it should behave. All right, that's good. Let me just save. All right, so what I would like to do is I've got something called transitions. Now, what it means is when one slide goes from one to the next, that process is called a transition. So for example, if I click on wipe, there you can see it. It happens very quickly. So you'll have to sit in front of your laptop and play around with these. And there we go. So you've got all these different little changes that happen. Some of them go a little bit slower. Some of them fly past it. You don't even see it's happening. Okay. But the one I want to show you actually is called morph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my slide. I'm going to click on morph. All right. But when it's got to do with text like this, I'm going to select this slide, for example. So from this slide where it has a bunch of text, I want to change how it flows into the next one. So the morph tool is a very fun one to use. And when I click on it, it doesn't look really great. If I click on preview, it just changes from one to the other. Doesn't look any fancy. But what I can do is I've got some options that I can actually play around with. I can morph the words like that. Or if I really want to, I can morph the characters. Just be patient with this one though. Like that. So you'll see now when it jumps from one slide to the next slide, how it behaves, it changes. Just be careful with the word one, the characters, because it can slow down your laptop. There is a little bit of a warning from Microsoft on that one, but generally speaking, it still does a good job. So that's quite a nice little feature that you can have, and it looks quite cool when it does that. From one slide to the next slide. Okay, so that looks quite nice. So that's a nice sort of transition. Let me just go back to maybe my first slide and let's use fade. Maybe for the second slide, I want to do something else. Shape. Okay, so you got to go play around with these transitions and see how they behave and how your presentation behaves. Just take note of the settings, the timing. You will need to go do some research on this one, but have a look. How do you want the timing to work? Do you want it to be calculated after so many seconds or minutes, or do you want to have the control by using your mouse? If you're doing a presentation, my experience being, rather leave it, use the mouse click rather, because at least in that way you've got control of the presentation. So you don't have to rush and think of the time is running out. So just be careful with that. Okay, good. So we've added some transitions. But what else can we do? Then we've also got animations. Now, animations deal with the objects that you actually have. You can actually deal with the text objects or the titles, or in this case, our little shape. So if I click on it, you'll see all the different options that come available. So just by clicking on it there, it will give you a preview to say, okay, this is how it's working. Okay, just take note then, it's also on click here. So you're going to have to click your slide when you want that to happen. Okay, so that's quite important to remember. Then your slideshow, there's a couple of options over here that you can have a look at from the beginning of the slide or from the current slide. You don't always have to start from the beginning. You can start from any point in your presentation. So these options are available to you. You can even use the rehearse with a coach, which basically allows you then to record your sounds, and you'll see there we go, and it'll tell you this is how it works. But again, you're going to have to go play around with these things. Little coach is going to start up, and then it's going to help you with the whole presentation that you're doing. So that's quite a fun feature, but it takes a bit of time. Then you can set up your slideshow. There's some different options here you can have a look at. A speaker, full screen or window view, or full screen kiosk, something that repeats itself. The slideshows, which slides do you want, or custom slides. So there's quite a few little options here that you can also play around with, which makes life a bit easier. So have a look at slideshow settings. Now this is the option that I want to show you guys. It's called record. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say from the beginning. So it's under slideshow, you click on record, it gives you options, and then you click on record from beginning. So what happens is Microsoft PowerPoint is going to open this little window for you. Top left-hand corner, you'll see there's the record button, the stop button, and the replay button. You can also clear your recordings if you've made a boo-boo and you want to restart or clear them all and do it again. There's the option, but this only comes available once you've actually done some recording. And then, of course, you've got some settings just to check which microphone you're using or which camera you're using. The reason being, you can actually switch on your camera. There, that's me. Okay, so there we go. So you can put your camera in there or you can switch it off. There's your microphone, which we're currently using. So you kind of need that on, otherwise you won't have any, unless you're just going to have sound, but then you're not going to be able to speak to your video. So you can switch on and off as well. Okay, then you've also got some pointing tools, like over here, your laser pointer. All right. Okay, so now you've done your basic setup. You've had a look, you want to use red, that's fine. And now you're happy, you want to start recording. You're going to click on the record button. It's going to do a little countdown, 3, 2, 1, 0. And there we go. Now the recording is happening. So now you can speak. My research proposal, I am David Hopstad. I'm doing my master's in financial education. And then you click on next. Now remember, the recording is only this part of the window. Everything on the black side is not included. So it's only recording what's here and the sound. And then you can speak through your presentation. So clicking on the right-hand side, it will move it from one slide to the next. There's this nice one. There we go, beautiful. All right, so you see now I'm clicking, and then I get to the end of the story. All right, and then obviously the record immediately stops. Okay, then if I click on exit, there we go. Now there is a recording it's done, and you'll see in the bottom of your slides, you'll actually see this little icon popping up. And if I move my mouse there, it actually indicates you've done a recording here. If you're happy with your recording, it's not that great, because if you make mistakes, you're going to have to kind of do it again, or you might need to do it slide by slide. So it's something that you might need to get used to. But once you've done your recording and you're happy with your work, you can go to File, Save As. Where the option says PowerPoint, you can have a look. There's your PDF. Yes, it's available. The older version of PowerPoint is also still available. But we want to create a video. So let's have a look. Ah, there it is, MP4. So I click on it, and then I click on Save. So what is going to happen now? Your recording with your slides, PowerPoint is now going to create an MP4 for you. So there it's busy creating at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so it's basically just you, after you've done your recording, you have to go File, Save As, select MP4, and then it's going to build it for you. Depending how long your presentation is and how much information you've got, it could take quite some time. This is a very small presentation. I mean, I've only got a few animations and transitions I've added, but it's still taking quite a few seconds to actually generate this. Okay, while that's busy, let's continue. So that's pretty much how PowerPoint works, and this is how it is that you can build something quite easily. It's very useful to use, as I said. Remember PowerPoint, have fun with it. It's about talking to people, presenting your information. So don't go and read, because that could put people to sleep. And there we go. Now you can see it's actually finished. So let's go see how it looks. I go to my folder where I saved it. Here you can see the size of the file, so it's quite big. Double click. And there we go. Okay, I'm not going to play the whole video because you were hearing me already. And there we go, students. So that is pretty much how you can use PowerPoint and how you can save it as a video even. You can go upload it on YouTube or TikTok and things like that. Or if you need to do it for research purposes or any reason that you need PowerPoint. So in a nutshell, that's basically how we work with PowerPoint. Just to show you guys, to make sure, if you go to UNISA's website, My UNISA, you'll see your first year experience at UNISA is available. Please see all the things that we've got online that you can interact with, our videos, our emails that we send to students. And of course, as a first year student, you will have access to the support sites. Every region has one, or just about every region has one. If you click on My Modules, just want to quickly show you, go to Sites, and you should be able to see FYE support site over there. The Midlands region, Northeast region, Cape Town, as I said, most of the regions have it. If there isn't a star there, you just click on the star, and then you'll see there's a little pop-up saying reload, and then it'll add it on. So if you go to our support sites, students, there's quite a lot of information sitting there. Digital literacies, academic literacies, the broadcasts. For example, here we've got a video. You can go watch the video within your My UNISA and actually watch what was presented there. So this is the type of information that you can find. So just check under sites and please interact with us. Let us know what else you would like to need. As I said, most regions do have them as well. Also, the Student Retention Unit has a YouTube channel. So you can just go to YouTube, type in Student Retention Unit, and you'll be able to see all the different videos that we've got that we actually can access. Like, for example, today's recordings, all 3 sessions, we're going to put it on our YouTube channel, and then you guys will be able to access it and watch it there as well. We've also got a MOOC site where you guys can register for free. It's courses that you can do in your own time. And for example, there's a nice course about cybersecurity where you can actually learn and arm yourself so that you are aware of what people are trying to do on the internet and being online, and obviously keeping yourself safe. Of course, now, if you want to learn more and you've got the time and the internet available, go look at this website, gcflearnfree.org. We will put all these links in the chat box so you guys can access it. And there's a host of topics that you can actually go and learn, not just about IT things, also about work and career, creativity, you name it, it's there. Even basic things like maths and reading and whatnot. So yes, you can actually go click on it. And for example, now we're doing PowerPoint. You can see all the different versions of PowerPoint, and you can actually go through the lessons. They give you videos, they give you step-by-step guides, and it's very, very useful. So we do recommend this as well. I think that's pretty much it, Naz.
Great stuff, David. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the session, and I personally enjoy PowerPoint. Now, PowerPoint has always been something fun, you know, ever since I was a little girl at school. I used to love doing PowerPoints, and I used to overkill with the with the transitions and the slides. And, you know, when you play around, you can explore, and then you see your slides flying in and jumping in or bouncing in, or your text just swishing in. So it's something that you need to play around with. And, you know, when you're younger and when you're new to something, it's like a little toy for you. So I overdid it with the animations and the transitions. And, you know, when you come to academic level or professional business slides or a professional presentation, you don't want to now have all these too much, you know. It's important when you do a presentation to be cognizant of your audience and your who you're presenting to. So if I'm doing something for you guys, then we could do all these pretty things like it's part of training. But if you're going to do your master's proposal and you're presenting to a board, or for example, or something more professional or an academic presentation, you can use a few effects, but it shouldn't be like flowers everywhere and pink everywhere and slides jumping after each one, because then it becomes a bit distractive, and then it also becomes a bit less professional. So that's something that you need to play around by all means, but don't overdo it. Rather use those effects and transitions only when you want to highlight a certain point, when you want to make emphasis, or you want that slide to stand out. That's the one thing. The second thing, you know, as one of the attendees mentioned, and David mentioned, reading out slides, 77 slides, wara. It becomes tiring, you know. When you give a presentation, you want all focus on you. So you need to use the notes column that's underneath the slides and write your notes down so you can read from there. But on your presentation itself, it needs to look neat and clear. It mustn't look like, oh gosh, there we go, I can feel a headache coming, or it's going to be a long session. So be careful how you lay out your presentation in a manner in which you actually get your point across. And a presentation is not an article. So don't structure it in that way where you write everything on the slide. Write a heading, write a subheading, write key points on there and speak from there. So it's just a balance between trying to get too much in and too little in. Obviously, don't just write words on there. Write maybe like a phrase or a sentence, or like, you know, a little bit on there. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. Dave, we have a few questions. One of the questions were actually, well, they're both related. So, yeah, David, could you please show us how to insert a video onto the slides and how to insert or import from Excel onto PowerPoint? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Naz. All right, let me quickly show you guys. All right, let me just close this one. Okay, let me quickly create a new slide. Okay, let me put a blank slide, is fine. Okay, because you want to insert, so even the way you're speaking or the way you're thinking, always remember that if you want to insert something, it will be under the insert toolbar. So just remember that, kind of try to make it the way we think. Okay, so here we go, insert, you got video and audio. There's also a screen recording option, something different. So what you would do is you click on video. Let's say on your PC, click on video. Now, of course, you've got to go to the location of the video. Hey? Luckily, we created one right today. So there's my video. So then I click on it, click on insert. There we go. Now you'll see it's maximized itself. Of course, the design ideas will pop up. But there we go. There's your little play button over there. So you'll see it pops up. Let me just click away. So when I click on it, there's the play button. All right. So you go to insert and then video. Just be careful with videos. You do have all your formatting and things that like that. You can do playback. So you do have all these little features that you can go play around with. But just remember, the size of the video might slow down your PowerPoint itself. So just remember that. So let's say it's a really big file of 500 megabytes. You insert it into PowerPoint. It's going to slow down PowerPoint, and it's definitely going to slow down how your presentation goes. So just be very careful with long-winded videos. But if you click on the play button, okay, it looks like I like saying there we go. So there we go. There's your video that you've embedded inside of PowerPoint. So that it's nice and easy. Just remember it's under the insert and the video option. Just need to know where you've saved it. And same with audio. If you've got like an MP3 recording from your phone, you could easily insert a video as well. Okay, let's quickly put another slide in. Okay, so you want to get some Excel information here. Let's have a look. Let's go to Excel. So you open your Excel. Let's put this table of data in. This is what you want to present on. So you select what you want, right click on what you've selected, click on copy. So you select what you want, right click on what you selected, select copy, and then you'll see the little answer running around. Go to PowerPoint, right click, and now remember the golden rule, hey? The different options that you have available. So make sure which one do you want to use. Let's say this one because it's got all the useful things that we created. And there we go. Now it's a little bit small. Okay, not a problem. On your bubbles, preferably on the corners. So when I click and drag, it will make it nice and big, but it keeps the dimensions. It doesn't make it look funny. So there we go. So there we can import your text from Excel. I hope that answers the question.
Great. I hope so too. Are there any questions? Okay. Regarding the video, you know, David made a good point. Before I get to you, Lindiwe, you could also add a link, but then you need to ensure that you have internet access. So when you create a link, then you just click on the link and then that will direct you to a video. So that's something that you could consider. You know, it's all about exploration. It's about being creative. It's about, you know, finding what works for you. So that's something that you could do as well, instead of just inserting the video. But then again, ensure that you have your internet connectivity and access. Okay, Lindiwe, over to you, dear.
I think you've already answered what I was going to ask. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Okay, David, do you want to show them that nice way of creating a neat link quickly before we get to the next question? I just like how you teach us that. So I wanted them to see how nice the link would look, the pretty way that you do it for us, please.
Okay, no problem. Okay, if you need to, for any reason, you need to link your presentation to an external source. So the first thing we're going to do is I need some text. So I'm just going to click on insert, maybe put in my text box quickly. Okay, for example, I'm just going to click here as an example. Then I select my text. So once you've selected the text, you can right click on it, and then you'll see there's an option saying link. Okay, so you select your text, right click copy, and then you click on link. Then what will happen is it's going to say to you, okay, where do you want to link to? For example, let's go to our YouTube channel. So I'm just copying the address of the YouTube channel. That's the link where I want to take the students to. Go back to PowerPoint, and then I paste it in over here. Okay, so there you can see the link that I just copied. Then I click on OK. So what happens is now this here becomes a link. As you can see, when I move my mouse there, it says if I use Control key and I keep it down, I click on normal click, it's going to take me to that video. So that's a quick and simple way to create an embedded link to a website, or a document can also be the same. It's just a matter of saying where is that resource sitting. So just remember, right click, select link, and then just select the address. Where is it located? You don't even have to worry about all these other options. As long as the address part is done, that's all that's needed. All right, I hope that answers the question.
Great, thanks, David. So yeah, I like that option because yes, of course, you can copy and paste your link onto the document, but it looks a bit messy, you know, with that whole HTTPS / going on, and some links are huge. So I don't like how it looks, but in a presentation, you know, when you do it the way David does it, it's just a word, so you know exactly if I click on this, or if I name it, I name it first year experience site or assignment or so whatever you want to show. So if you title it that way, you just click on it and it opens. So it looks neater, more professional, and it's not running all over the page, and it takes less space as well. Okay, Evelyn, over to you, dear.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. David, thank you for this. It's very informative. Slide 4 was very interesting for me. Can you show us how would it look in a presentation form, whereby you're only showing the highlighted forms or words, and you are able to read the entire word without showing it in a slideshow? That's my question number 1 in terms of slide number 4. And then if you insert a audio in your presentation and you are in a slideshow, will it be able to play if I'm doing a presentation, say on what is this, Teams? Or will the audio still be able to play if I put it on a presentation and I'm doing a presentation on Teams, for example? Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Very nice one, Evelyn. Okay, so let's have a look. The first one you said was the, let me go back to slide. Yeah, this one over here. Oops, there we go. All right,
that one,
so
yes.
So what you would like to do is, are you talking about the transition effect? Or do you just want to have...
if I remember, when you highlighted the word video and professional, you mentioned that you can be able to highlight it somehow without showing the entire word, or maybe I didn't get it when you were taking us through slide 4. What was the purpose of highlighting those words specifically?
Okay, basically the idea here is because look, you're most likely going to do this presentation virtually. So the idea is, you select just sort of the key words that you highlight. So when you're looking at your notes, then at least you know I'm talking about video, and then you can speak about video because you will know this content, all right? So the audience don't. So they will basically hear the word video and then they will try and follow it, but then you'll be speaking about video, but you won't be reading what's here. So that's the idea. So it's just those sort of key points in the text that will remind you what you're speaking about, but then the audience then would also be able to follow.
Oh, okay. All right. I get it. Thanks. And then in terms of the audio that you have inserted there, if I put it on presentation point, will I be able to then, still on slide 4, David, you have an audio inserted on slide 4. Say now it's on presentation and I want that audio to play now without having to move away from slide 4. How can I do that? At that point, I'm presenting virtually.
Okay, no problem. So, for example, because we did a recording, that's why this little icon's popping up over here. But in your case,
Yes.
you're going to go to Insert, you'll go Insert Audio. Let me see, do I have any audio? Okay, here we go. We can just record. Okay, let's just make a quick recording on audio and then see how basically we can add it in. Something very short and sweet. Okay, it's busy recording. Okay, there we go. So I just recorded something new. Same icon. The difference is now you've got this little toolbar. So when you are actually presenting, let me just change to presenter mode. Okay, it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you can see it really picked it up and it started playing. Yes,
Yeah, the thing is once it's sorry, once it's on presentation mode, the audience are not able to hear the sound, and I found it challenging. I had to do something similar before, and I ended up having to exclude the audio because the other people on the other side could not hear this audio on Microsoft Teams. So I thought maybe there's a way that I can make it to be audible to the audience while I'm presenting it.
Okay, yes, there is a little bit of a catch with Microsoft Teams because what I'm doing right now, you can hear it. I think everyone can hear it because I'm sharing in Teams. But with Teams, there's also one little element that you must be aware of. Let me just quickly close it over here. So when you're sharing, there's an option saying computer sound, include computer sound. If you don't select that option, then you won't have any sound coming in from your PC. I'm just quickly doing a screen grab just to show you what it looks like. So there we go. So when you're clicking on the share button, this is the option. You must make sure this option is on like this. Then it will include any sound that comes from your computer speakers.
Okay.
But you can always play around with
so
it and test it out. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My
Great.
questions are answered. Thanks.
Great, Evelyn. Evelyn, you could also, ensure that the audio is of good quality. When we use laptops and when we try to record and all of that, it becomes a bit difficult. So when that is not so audible, it might not come through. Alternatively, you could also have that file open separately and then share it, let them listen to the audio like that. It could come through better. So yeah, that's it. Do we have any final questions? Okay, so yeah, I trust that it was an enjoyable session. Okay, Lindiwe.
Sorry, just a quick one. I think it's in line with Evelyn, what Evelyn just asked now. In my case, what happens if you have a video link on PowerPoint presentation and you're presenting on Teams, but you can see the video when you play it on Teams, but then the people cannot see the video? What could be a problem there?
Sure. Okay. So that's usually my experience has been when you're sharing something and the attendees can't see it, that usually means their connectivity to you is probably too slow. So it might be Microsoft Teams is saying their connections are too slow and then it doesn't want to share. That is a bit of a unique one. Yeah, because it does happen. I have seen it happen, and I know with the updates with Microsoft Teams, it sometimes can cause the issue. So it's always good to maybe restart the laptop to see if Microsoft Teams has an update that's not going through. But generally speaking, I mean, if you're sharing it and it should come on their side. Yeah, that's a very unique problem.
David,
when
it
working,
could also be. Sorry, Nassim. I've also experienced that, but it could also be that when you share on Teams, you must also be careful what you are sharing. Are you sharing the current screen, or are you sharing windows, which means are you sharing your entire view or not, because sometimes if you switch between screens, maybe you were on Excel and then suddenly you're moving over to a video on YouTube, the people are still seeing what you shared before. So I think also the way you share plays a big part in terms of what the people are able to see.
Definitely.
That's true. Very true, Evelyn.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And, you know, we're working with technology. Technology can be wonderful and can be weird at times too. So I always say, and I can't stress this enough, you know, with your presentations, with your MS Teams meetings or any presentation that you do, always do a dry run, always do a practice round, check your presentation beforehand. To avoid stress, to ensure that everything is okay. You know, even if you check it a few times on the day, something could go wrong, but at least you know that you checked it. So, you know, check everything's okay. Have like an informal meeting on, you know, screen your presentation. Let your colleagues see, okay, it's working, it's not working, this is too soft. So that's important, because when you go and present, then you know that everything is kind of in order. Obviously, on the day something could happen, but now that's what it is. Yeah, so that's it. But, you know, all of this can be really fun. I just enjoy the process. When you enjoy something, it just becomes easy and it doesn't feel like work. So remember, keep your target audience in mind, and don't try to do too much, but don't try to do too less. So try to form a middle ground, because when you want to do too much, whether it's graphics or whether it's information or whether it's sharing too many things, it could impact your flow of your presentation and the concentration of your audience. Also, make use of the chat boxes if you're using Microsoft Teams. You know, say, okay, now I shared a link in the chat box. You know, the video link is in the chat box, so the attendees could look at it later on if they do. But that's just something, in case something doesn't work, then you have a backup plan. I think it's important to have a backup plan. Yes, and enjoy the process. If there are no questions, then I'd like to conclude. Yes?
Okay, there is a question. Do you have to be an active student to register on the MOOC site? No, you do not. The MOOC site is available to anybody and everybody to register. It doesn't require you to be an active UNISA student. So you can definitely do that. It's open to everyone. And then the second thing, what version of PowerPoint am I using? This is Office 365. So it's PowerPoint. It comes with Office 365. If you want to download the version, sure, a lot of noise coming through, sorry. Okay, so if you want to download the Office 365, you guys can log into your My Life email account. And the top left-hand corner, there's a little dashboard. You click on it, click on Home, and then you'll see on sort of the right-hand side, there's an install option there. There is on the regional support sites, there is a link that you guys can actually go look at the video. I'll see if I can find it quickly, and then I'll copy and paste it in the chat for you. And then there was one more question I picked up. It's about copying, and it looks like the data isn't refreshing, so it's using the old data. Yes, I would suggest closing the programs and then retrying to copy the data again. Sometimes it does happen, Tracy. Right, I think that's all the questions.
Okay, great. Yeah, just play around. I see now there's questions asking, how do you insert a video? Insert tab, and then a whole lot of options open up, and you just insert whatever you want from there, be it a video, be it a whatever. But remember, you need to know where you saved your stuff also. So you need to save your things. I always prefer saving things on my desktop, so it's easier. But wherever you save your items that you want to be putting into your presentation, keep note of that. So then you can insert your pictures, you can insert your videos, your audios, or whatever. Regarding videos, remember, you could insert a hyperlink, and then you can make it all pretty like David showed us. Yeah, I think that's more or less the questions. Yeah, thank you. There will be a survey that David will post on the chat box. Please do fill that in. That just provides us with some information on how the session went for you guys. What would you guys like in future? Things like that. Remember, this is just a basic awareness program, rather, to show you what Microsoft has to offer and how you can use this in your presentations, in your assignments, in whatever you have. So it's just something to help you. There are a lot of courses. There's the MOOC courses. There's the site that David spoke about. And that's all available. You know, when you do have time, go there, visit there, play around, and just have fun. I love PowerPoint. So thank you so much, David, and thank you so much, participants, for your questions and your feedback and your comments. It was enjoyable, and I trust this will be helpful. All the best with your assignments and your projects and your tasks. And on behalf of the Student Retention Unit, we wish you success, we wish you health, we wish you happiness. And please do visit our sites and project sites and our YouTube channels. The recordings will be there, and we have a host of other things that we offer to our students. So thank you, and have a healthy and blessed week ahead.